Did you know that the average number of thoughts a human has in a day is around 60,000? Of those 60,000 thoughts, about 95% of them are reoccurring thoughts. Thoughts you had yesterday, or the day before, or last week, or maybe even last year, or the last 10 years. Damn. About 80% of those thoughts, or 45,000 of those thoughts, are supposedly negative, which is wild, right? It's kind of sad. What's funny is right now I'm having one of my 60,000 thoughts about the fact that we all have around 60,000 thoughts every day. I was listening to a podcast with Tom DeLonge, famous guitar player of the band Blink-182, and he was saying how he's one of these people that has so many ideas and so many thoughts that sometimes he just sits there and ruminates on them instead of taking action because he's so consumed by them. And oh my goodness, can I relate? Can you relate? I can definitely relate. I thought by sharing some thoughts with you, maybe, just maybe together, piece by piece, we can make sense of at least some things. And maybe we'll get to something that we can action by the end of the video. We're also here in Red Hill. I haven't been here since last year, which is crazy. And I've also learned a few new songs. So, new songs in this video. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day to have a beautiful day. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Busking in the summer months, or at least the warmer weather, is such a game changer. Not having to deal with coats and blimey, layers of jumpers and just rocking up in a t-shirt busking for the win, man. Gonna be a warm one. If we can, I'll try and set up in the shade. Red Hill's a funny one because it's kind of a one-spot town. It's not really big enough to have any more than one busker in. So every time you come here, it's always a little bit of a risk because if there happens to already be someone here, your choices are limited. But the key, as with everything in life, is to not panic. If you're confronted by an obstacle or a problem, you figure it out. You don't freak out. Oh my goodness. I just went into Sainsbury's to use their facility. If ever I go into a place that has like a tiled, like plastic tiled floor, sometimes my trolley gives me static shocks. Something to do with the wheels building up electricity. Or maybe I'm just so full of optimism that the universe needed to give me a little shock. But it gave me such a bad shock that I dropped my camera and I've broken the microphone mount. Shocking. Oh. I guess one of my 60,000 thoughts of today is, ouch, my hand. Another one is, oh no, my camera. Luckily it seems to be okay. Minimal damage. It's a good reminder that the universe isn't always here to make us happy, but it will help us awaken. I believe that's a Zen Buddhist sentiment. Something that I like to do when I know I'm overthinking a bit too much is to come out for a busk, bring the camera with no plan, no script, no agenda to the video. Just see what comes into mind, see what unfolds through the day. It's almost like the act of doing something where I have to think on the spot counteracts that overthought, the reoccurring thoughts, that 95%. It's like somehow I have to lean into the 5%. A forced lean. Hopefully it works. I mean, you'll be the judge of that because you're watching the video. All right, Red Hill, it's been a minute. Let's see what you've got. I, for one, am excited. I just hope that I don't get too hot, which I'm already sweating, so inevitably gonna get too hot.
This is the recipe to life. Do not just wake up and become a butterfly. We have been dying since we got here. Forgot to enjoy the view. Rise at the moon and the new day came. I live for that first second in the morning. Sun becomes moon, the moon becomes sun. Over and over again.
Well, I think the universe heard my call because the sun's gone behind some clouds, which has cooled things down by a few degrees, which is nice. And then I've had not one, but 2 drinks bought for me, which is awesome. I mean, they're better off being used as a cooler right now versus a actual drink. But I really actually like Lipton iced tea, so that's a win.
Never feel guilty for starting again. The earth is renewing a new beginning. Your body rights or right or wrong, better than your mind. I am the water and you are the moon.
Man, Red Hill is so friendly. Like, it's just, yeah, mind-blowing. I don't know why I've waited so long to come back here. I've just been very busy, I guess. Busy with shows, busy with YouTube. But it's reminding me of how cool this place is, which is nice.
Sing, rise, sing, the sun and her flowers, the sun and her flowers. The universe took its time on me, and I will no longer compare. I'm a world, wrapped in worlds, and life and death are all frames. I am the conversation, you are the manifold light. I may change after change in the name of direction, but what if there is no finish line? Oh, wilting, falling, the sun and her flowers, the sun and her flowers, rooting, rising, the sun and her flowers, the sun and her flowers are blue.
Unlike when I'm like sat at my desk at home and I'm having ideas and I'm trying to filter my thoughts, the trouble with that is there's always distractions. There's, you know, chores to do, there's the phone, there's the computer, there's the internet, you know. Whereas when you're busking, all you have to do is focus on playing the music, focus on putting out good energy, but there's a part of your brain that can kind of switch off. You can't look at your phone, you can't go on the internet, you can't get distracted in that way, and it's almost like you're able to filter out some of the BS that's going on over here. And I guess also because the act of busking is bringing you back to the music, it's bringing you back to the core of like what you do this for. It gives you like a good sense of clarity. For me anyway, it's like a therapy. It's like therapeutic, you know?
Load up on goals, bring your friends, it's fun to lose and to pretend.
I find myself craving it when I've been like a few days without, you know? If I have 3 or 4 days where I don't busk, like I really start craving it, even if I've done gigs and performances on those days, you know? There's something about busking itself that gives you this, I don't know, more grounded feeling in yourself. Does that make sense? Probably doesn't make sense. Maybe it makes sense. Let me know if it makes sense.
you say, well, I do best, and for this gift, well, I feel blessed.
It's going very well though. I did have a lady come over and tell me that she's working in one of the offices. She wants me to turn it down. So I did the old pretend to turn it down trick. Touched the volume knob, but didn't actually move it. So hopefully that doesn't amount to anything more. I have never been told to turn it down in Red Hill before, and I've been coming here for like 3 years, three years-ish. So maybe she works here and she's new and she doesn't realise that the busking is what matters most. More than any office. Most of the time.
I'm a mosquito, my libido, yeah. Woo. And I forget just why I taste. Oh yeah, I guess it makes me smile.
When you're playing on the street or you're busking and somebody asks you to turn down, it can feel like, especially in the beginning of your journey, it can feel like almost a bit demoralizing, as if they're saying it out of negativity. A bit like comments on the internet. Like one negative comment can send your head into a spin, even if you've received bags and bags of positivity. And what you've got to remember when you're in the street, if somebody comes up to you and says, oh, could you turn it down? Or, like, oh, you've been playing for a while, could you potentially move? Remember that they're probably not saying it out of spite. They might have even been sent by their manager. It might not even be them personally that wants you to move. So it's no point getting negative about it. Could have gone better. My general rule of thumb is like, assess whether they're really being reasonable about it. Like if they say, oh, can you turn down? I can't hear you. I can't hear the phone in my office. But when you're playing, there's clearly people walking past on the phone or people sat on the bench on the phone. You can kind of tell that they're just saying it out of principle. And for them, make sure you stay polite. Whatever you do, don't be rude. Don't ingest any negative energy yourself, and don't spit any negative energy yourself. Stay positive.
Hanging out behind the club the weekend, and it's Jimmy getting drunk with my best friend. Couldn't wait for the summer at the walk door. I remember it's the first time that I saw her.
Be polite, but within reason, turn down a bit or don't turn down at all. Just pretend and carry on. Carry on being a light in the street. Carry on shining. Carry on doing what you're doing. Sometimes I think people come and say something because they're worried that you're going to be a nuisance before they've even really assessed whether you are a nuisance or not. And after a while they're like, actually maybe you're alright.
Everything's better when she's around. Coming to a parents, go out of town. Fell in love with the girl at the rock show. Nah, yeah.
Because there are people that, do play very loud and do turn their speakers up very loud. And I think sometimes people are scared that you're going to be one of them. But you're not. You're going to be good. You're going to be a reasonable level. Reasonable is the key word here. Not too loud, but not too quiet.
When she's around, coming to a parents, go out of town. Fell in love with the girl at the rock show. Black and white picture of her on my wall. I waited for a call. She always kept me waiting.
Overthinking. I have been thinking a lot lately. I think overthinking is always a result of worrying that you're not far enough along in your journey. When actually, that's the crux, right? The crux is like, you shouldn't be thinking about where you are on the journey. You should just be showing up and appreciating the moment.
Girl at the rock show. Oh yeah. The girl at the rock show. Well, I'll never forget you. I'll never forget the rock show. I'll never forget tonight. I'll never forget tonight.
Comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. It doesn't matter what's happening on someone else's journey. It doesn't matter, you know, how long you've been doing it. Keep showing up. Work on improving yourself and let the rest fall into place, man. I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you right now, because that's what I have to keep reminding myself whenever I feel like I'm overthinking. And the other thing is gratitude. Gratitude. Like,
Remember when we tried to catch a fish? We had nothing but a piece of line attached to a stick. We dipped it in the river, waited hours for a bite. Still waited and catch that fish.
thankful for what I am, where I am, what I get to do, you know? By all accounts, ARP is such a success in my life because this is how I make a living. This is my job. And that was my number one goal when I started this. And I have to remind myself that although there's things I want to accomplish, you know, the next level is calling my name. Where I am is so good. And if this is the base level, then it can only get better, man. It's worth remembering sometimes.
But now I'm sat here in my room, looking for something to do, remembering time I spent when I was wasting it with you.
And it's weird, right? Because I feel like no matter where you get into the journey, you keep having to remind yourself. Like, I read autobiographies. I've just read Mark Hoppus's book. What a book, man. Nearly made me cry. The ending was like, oh man, this guy's had such an impact on my life and millions of others. But it was funny just to hear how he even sits in doubt sometimes and worries that he's not doing enough or he isn't enough, and you know, it's all gonna fall apart any moment. I mean, it did for him several times, so just goes to show. Appreciate everything, expect nothing, appreciate everything. I think that might be what I call my next album.
Sat here in my room, looking for something to do, remembering time I spent it when I was wasting it with all the people I can't remember. Horrible feeling in September, didn't go away until November. Remember it.
I was reading Austin Kleon's book, Keep Going, the third of the series from Austin Kleon. Show Your Work's the one I bang on about all the time, but Keep Going is the sequel to Show Your Work, sort of for those times where you need to remind yourself to just keep going. And there's this paragraph in there where he says how we get so caught up in like what we're supposed to have done by the time we've arrived at like where we are, that we forget what the real goal. The real goal is to be able to do it and sustain it for your entire life, right? It's not about becoming something as quickly as possible. And he says in that book, he's not interested in 30 under 30, like the Forbes 30 under 30. He wants to hear about the 8 over 80, you know? The people that have made their life the thing that they wanted, you know, like they stuck to the path their whole life. It wasn't about achieving as much as possible in the shortest amount of time. It was about just exploring and adventuring and making an extraordinary story out of your existence.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What a day. I congregated a little audience there at the end and didn't get to sort of round off the video whilst busking. A lady was sat watching for a while there. I started playing Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day and she just started weeping, like full on tears. And we got talking and it turned out her husband recently passed away. And he was a singer in a punk band, and music meant a lot to him. And she just said that the music had made her day and made her think of him. Apparently he was only 59. There's nothing like hearing someone else's troubles to put your own into perspective, and suddenly a little bit of overthinking about where you are on your music journey doesn't seem so bad. So yeah, I think the power of music is not to be underestimated, man. Sometimes it's easy to forget how much power you actually have in your hands. And yeah, I mean, I'm honoured to have made her day. Super honoured. That was a really good busk. £102.21p. We've broke 3 figs for the first time in a little while. Good time. We didn't get too sunburnt, we didn't get rained on, so you can only call that a win, really, can't you? And my mind, I must admit, every time I go busking, especially if I play for like a good 3 to 4 hours, I'm so still after the busk. Like, my mind is just completely at ease. Partly because physically I feel exhausted, and partly because I just feel like all of the emotion, all of the adrenaline's just been left out there. Alright, I'll hand you to future me to round off this video. A bit of a casual one, more of a casual one this week. Over to future me. Welcome to the future. Another rad day in Red Hill. What a place, man. I need to go back there a bit more frequently, I think. Luckily, my camera isn't too damaged either. Seems to all be in working order still. Couple of days on. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like. Subscribe if you're new around here. We just reached 6,000 subscribers, which is wild, dude. Yeah, thankful to every single one of you that have clicked that button already. So cool. The super thanks button is down there if you wish to give me an online donation, or I do have a Patreon page for those of you feeling slightly more generous. In exchange for a monthly donation, I upload exclusive content onto there. I also have an album, it's called Keep Showing Up, 10 tracks long. The only place you can get it is my website. I've been watching a few videos lately about fellow musicians and their predictions for the future of Spotify, and I must say, it feels like all of us musicians are thinking the same thing. So I think by not being on Spotify, we're making a good move. So my album is only available on my website. Link is on the screen. You can get a CD or a digital download version. And if you want to hear it played live in full, there's a video I'll link up here. You can hear me play it if you want to try before you buy. I'm August Radio Project and I make videos that come out every single Monday. I will see you next week. Peace, love, and happiness.